2 Samuel chapter 1. And it comes to pass after the death of Saul that David has returned from striking the Amalekite, and David dwells in Ziklag for 2 days. And it comes to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man has come in out of the camp from Saul, and his garments are torn, and earth is on his head. And it comes to pass in his coming to David that he falls to the earth and pays respect. And David says to him, Where do you come from? And he says to him, I have escaped out of the camp of Israel. And David says to him, What has been the matter? Please declare it to me. And he says, That the people have fled from the battle, and also a multitude of the people have fallen, and they die. And also Saul and his son Jonathan have died. And David says to the youth who is declaring it to him, How have you known that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead? And the youth who is declaring it to him says, I happened to meet in Mount Gilboa, and behold, Saul is leaning on his spear, and behold, the chariots and those possessing horses have followed him. And he turns behind him and sees me, and calls to me, and I say, Here I am. And he says to me, Who are you? And I say to him, I am an Amalekite. And he says to me, Please stand over me and put me to death, for the arrow has seized me, for all my soul is still in me. And I stand over him and put him to death, for I knew that he does not live after his falling. And I take the crown which is on his head, and the bracelet which is on his arm, and bring them to my lord here. And David takes hold on his garments and tears them, and also all the men who are with him, and they mourn and weep and fast until the evening, for Saul, and for his son Jonathan, and for the people of Yahweh, and for the house of Israel, because they have fallen by the sword. And David says to the youth who is declaring it to him, Where are you from? And he says, I am the son of a sojourner, an Amalekite. And David says to him, How were you not afraid to put forth your hand to destroy the anointed of Yahweh? And David calls to one of the youths and says, Draw near, fall on him. And he strikes him, and he dies. For David says to him, Your blood is on your own head, for your mouth has testified against you, saying, I put to death the anointed of Yahweh. And David laments with this lamentation over Saul and over his son Jonathan. And he says to teach the sons of Judah the bow. Behold, it is written on the scroll of the upright. The beauty of Israel is wounded on your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Do not declare it in Gath. Do not proclaim the tiding in the streets of Ashkelon, lest they rejoice, the daughters of the Philistines, lest they exult, the daughters of the uncircumcised. Mountains of Gilboa, no dew nor rain be on you, and fields of raised offerings. For there has become loathsome the shield of the mighty, the shield of Saul, without the anointed with oil. From the blood of the wounded, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan has not turned backward, and the soul of Saul does not return empty. Saul and Jonathan, they are loved and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they have not been parted. They have been lighter than eagles, they have been mightier than lions. Daughters of Israel, weep for Saul, who is clothing you in scarlet with delights, who is lifting up ornaments of gold on your clothing. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan was wounded on your high places. I am in distress for you, my brother Jonathan. You were very pleasant to me. Your love was wonderful to me, above the love of women. How the mighty have fallen. Indeed, the weapons of war perish.